Jacqueline Walker was a black woman, and she had long been accustomed to biased treatment. As a successful lawyer, she knew that the world was not always fair, but that had never stopped her. After winning another high-profile case, she decided to treat herself to a new car. She entered the dealership with a confident stride. The spacious hall gleamed with cleanliness, and luxurious cars stood in neat rows. Jacqueline approached the nearest salesperson, but he didn't even bother to greet her. When she stopped beside him, he lazily glanced at her, looked her up and down, crossed his arms over his chest, and smirked. "These cars cost much more than you think, ma'am. You won't have enough money. Don't waste our time." Jacqueline froze for a second. Her face remained calm, but inside, rage was boiling. She understood perfectly that the reason for the refusal was not her financial capabilities but her appearance. The price of the cars didn't faze anyone else in the dealership when other clients arrived, but for her, a black woman, they suddenly became too expensive. A tense silence hung in the air. Some of the staff exchanged glances, but no one intervened. The salesperson continued to look at her with a superior expression. Without saying a word, Jacqueline turned around and calmly walked out. The next day, she returned. But this time she was not alone. Her husband was with her. Jonathan Walker was a tall, self-assured man. In his perfectly fitted suit, with expensive watches on his wrist, he immediately attracted the staff's attention. This time, the salespeople did not turn away or look with disdain. Instead, one after another, they hurried to offer their services. The manager personally came out to greet them, smiling broadly. But the very salesperson who had refused to serve Jacqueline yesterday stood aside, noticeably nervous. He had already realized that the situation had changed. Jonathan calmly examined the cars, listened to the offers, then casually nodded and expressed his willingness to buy the most expensive model. The manager literally beamed with joy and rushed to propose closing the deal. But his voice trembled when Jonathan stated his only condition: to fire the salesperson who had refused to serve his wife the day before. The manager noticeably grew anxious, but he had no choice. A few minutes later, the salesperson was already packing his things. As Jacqueline and Jonathan drove away from the dealership in a shiny new car, the sun reflected off the mirror-like surface of the hood. Jacqueline looked at her husband, smiled slightly, and, leaning back in her seat, allowed herself to relax. The salesperson's words from yesterday still echoed in her memory, but now they held no significance.